All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Linda Hall Library and How Do I Become an Engineer, presented in partnership with the UMKC School of Science and Engineering. I also want to give a special welcome to our live stream audience watching today virtually. You may know about the Linda Hall Library, but if not, just really quickly, we are a leading independent science research library that brings science, engineering, and technology to life in new and relevant ways. We are open to the public, so anyone can come through our doors, use our collection, and I encourage all of you to come back to attend some of our programs, check out our collection, or access all of our resources virtually at lindahall.org. Now, just a couple housekeeping items. This program is intended for you, the student, the parents. This is your opportunity to ask any questions about how to become an engineer. I'll be going around with a handheld mic. So if you have questions, just raise your hand throughout the hour and hold the mic close to your mouth. If you put it down like this, our live stream audience won't be able to hear you. So with that, I want to give a special thank you to Marjorie Eisenman, Assistant Dean of Student Affairs at the UMKC School of Science and Engineering, and her team, who did a lot of the great legwork to put this program together. And with that, I would like to invite Marjorie on stage.
Thank you, Eric, and thank you. This is a great partnership that we have with Linda Hall Library between UMKC, School of Science and Engineering, and so I'm really glad to be here today. After our amazing panel, and I can't wait for you guys to hear all of the great stories and information that you're going to hear from our alumni, telling you about what it is like to be an engineer and how they got to where they are. But afterwards, we're going to go on tours of the engineering school at UMKC. It's literally next door. So we are very excited to show you all of the exciting things that are happening at UMKC. And when you do that, students, in your bags is a little yellow card. When you are over on the tour, if you fill that out and give it to us, we'll give you something for free, like a t-shirt. It's really great. So we're excited to have you here. And thank you all so much. And for our live stream audience, we also do visits all of the time, and we would be happy to host you on our campus. So I'm going to turn it over now to Eric Timpson, who is our moderator today and also a UMKC alum.
Yes. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Can everybody hear me okay? All right, so my job as a host, number one, is to welcome you. So you're absolutely welcome here. Thank you for joining me in this esteemed panel today. It really is a 5-star turnout, so all your questions, I'm sure you'll leave answered. And so like she said, I'm a UMKC grad. 2011 is when I earned my master's degree, because it was in my backyard, and I was working for Honeywell at the time, and wanted to progress not only in the functional understanding of electrical engineering, but also in the academic. And so went back, and it's just an amazing experience. And then later on, I even taught a course in pulse power there. And so learned a lot there, but that's enough about me. I want you all to hear and learn from this panel. So I want to introduce you to Delia at the end there, Rahim, Faraz, Abby, and Tolu. All right, and so I kind of want them to do their title and what they're doing now. And so we'll start with Delia on the end, and then just sort of work our way down.
Good morning. I'm Delia Heffernan. I graduated from the Mechanical Engineering School at UMKC in 2011. Mine is kind of more of a tortured path because I'm not a traditional 4-year student. I did my first half of my my undergrad at the University of Colorado, and I had left for a period of time, got married, had children, and moved here. So it took me about 8 years to get back to college. And I too was a working adult, so it was easier for me to try to come back here. and it's such a very convenient school, great location, wonderful staff. But but I have worked as a project manager for KC Water for the last couple years. Prior to that, I had worked at Burns McDonnell for 9 years before that in their energy division.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name again is Raheem Pre. I graduated from UMKC back in 2019 with my degree in electrical and computer engineering. Kind of a hometown kid. I'm born and raised here in Kansas City, Missouri. Literally grew up maybe like 4 or 5 blocks away. So UMKC kind of became my home away from home as I pursued my degree in engineering. Again, graduated back in 2019, and since then I've gotten on board with Burns McDonnell and been with them ever since in their oil, gas, and chemical department, and then more recently with their transmission and distribution division. So, and also a little background or tidbit on me. I'm a first generation high school and college student. So with that, I always like to try to bring that unique perspective to engineering and share it and give back across all levels downstream. So that's a little tidbit on me, somewhat of my background, where I'm currently at, and things of that nature. So mainly, it's a pleasure to be here in front of you all today, to be amongst this panelists and my fellow Ruse, and hopefully future Ruse. So again, it's a pleasure to be here. Really appreciate you guys, and again, it's an honor. So thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Faraz Augustine. I graduated back with my undergrad back in 2010, left for a year, worked as an environmental engineer. I'm a civil engineer by trade. Worked as an environmental engineer for about 10 months and could not stand it. So I went back, got my master's degree in civil engineering as well. My background's always been in materials. I like to play in the mud, and that's what got me into engineering to begin with. So I like to go and play in concrete, and those concrete samples back there. I was telling Marjorie earlier, I can bore anybody with the details. So if anybody ever has questions, would like to get into that, I'm your guy. I worked for about 5 years in a small material manufacturing company south of Kansas City. It's in Archie, Missouri, called Western Material and Design. I was their technical director for a few years and basically got to mix a few different concrete samples, and we go out and actually place them on highways. And so we were doing rapid setting concretes for highway repairs, turning your highway around pretty quickly. Left after that, worked for Terracon for 5 years and was a project manager on the materials division. So got to inspect a lot of buildings as they were going up, make sure the structural capacity of the building and structural inspections were happening per code, and all the construction was happening per code. Now I am at the American Concrete Paving Association, the Missouri-Kansas chapter, as the executive director over there. And again, just get to play with concrete all the time.
Nice, thank you.
Morning. Again, I'm Abby Small. I'm a more recent graduate. I graduated in 2020, the peak COVID semester.
Oh, man.
I also, with my time here at UMKC, I'm born and raised in Kansas City, went to high school at St. Teresa's across the street. I played soccer for the university here all 4 years, so that was a major part of my student experience. I got an internship at Burns McDonnell in their substation group my summer going into my senior year, then co-opted the rest of that year in that group. Took a year off, actually played the sport abroad for a bit, came back, and now I'm within Burns McDonnell's consulting firm, 1898. I'm a utility consulting analyst, so we specialize in grid modernization and distribution planning.
Wow, what sport?
Soccer.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I have one to myself too. Nice. Hello, everyone. My name is Tolu Wanemi Olatunde Salahu, Tolu for short, and I am a mechanical engineering graduate student here at UMKC. I graduated in May, just last semester, but I am from Lagos, Nigeria, so I am also an international student. I've been here for 5-point-something years, and it's been really, really nice. My background really was, my dad is a mechanical engineer, but I just really enjoyed the fact that he was able to fix anything. And I wanted to be able to do the same thing, but I realized very quickly that I wasn't really technical, and I was also split between medicine and engineering. So by the time I finished high school in Nigeria, I had decided to do biomechanical engineering. And I got here, I took the prerequisites for the first 3 years, and by the third year, I realized what I really wanted to do was make medical devices. And I got the opportunity to pick an elective for my senior year. I took biomedical device design, I took biomechanics, introduction to biomechanics, and some other bio-related classes, and that solidified my interest that I actually wanted to like make the medical devices themselves, which is completely different from biomechanics in that realm. And I had an internship last year, but it doesn't matter because it's the real one I wanted to do was work in a medical device manufacturing company. And that's what I did this last summer after I graduated. And they wanted me to stay, but I told them, I now know what I want to do. I want to do medical devices manufacturing in that space. So I'm going to go back to school for my master's to basically get more information on that. And that's what I'm doing right now. So, yeah.
Hey, thank you so much. And I was able to welcome and meet several of you in the audience today. So very excited to hear your stories. We got the panel warmed up while you guys are warming up and thinking about your questions. Because remember, we're here for you. So definitely raise your hand and ask the questions. But I'm going to ask the hardest question first, which is why. And we'll start on the end again. You know, why did you choose engineering in the first place? And remember, I did a quick little poll here. We got lots of juniors and seniors in high school. And so there, you know, if you could put yourself back there then and talk to yourself a little bit, that would be awesome.
I decided I wanted to be an engineer when I was 12.
Yeah.
So that actually was an easy decision because I always knew what my strengths were. But I think what really kind of did it was I was watching TV one time and there was an Amgen commercial that came on. And they, at the time, I think were a little heavier into genetic engineering and maybe less into pharmaceuticals like I think they are now. But that really inspired me at the time. So when I went to the University of Colorado, I was actually a chemical engineering major. And I had taken a lot of the prerequisites, which included some genetics classes and biology. And I think what you learn that way is that what you want to do when you're 12 isn't necessarily what you probably want to do when you're 18.
Yeah.
And I think you'll even learn further that what you think you want to do when you're 18 may not be what you want to do when you're in your 40s. So that's certainly something, you know, it's one thing that I learned, especially about engineering, is that it's really a very fluid thing and it's very widespreading. What it does a really good job of is help you figure out how to fix problems, how to solve problems, give you a thought process, a way to do it. And so you can take that into anything. So, you know, even if today you're thinking you might want to be an engineer, but later on down the road you think, maybe this isn't exactly what I want to do, it'll definitely help you figure out what you want to do later on in your life.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I tell people that all the time. The reason why I went into engineering was because when you go into engineering, you don't have to do engineering. It just means you can do anything. Literally, like, because that's when you go into engineering, you take the hardest classes in college, and so that's not to scare you. That's just to prepare you that like there's going to be math and physics, and it's going to be awesome. And so I point out Weird Al Yankovic, actually. You know, he's an aerospace engineer, and there's so many other, you know, pop celebrities that you wouldn't necessarily think to be engineering, but they are. Yeah. So please continue here.
So my why is kind of, I guess where to start is like in high school, I had that general liking for just the latest electronics and technology, just being surrounded by it so much and engulfed by it on the daily. So that kind of sparked my interest in engineering. And then I also had that general liking for math and science. And luckily, my teachers kind of steered me in that direction after kind of noticing that. And then also just kind of seeing where our day-to-day necessities are going in life. So a lot of things are converting from being gas to more electric. And we're seeing that heavily here with vehicles, with more EV vehicles becoming more common and things like that. So just seeing like how things were shaping in our society, I kind of wanted to play a part in that and kind of help that innovation and kind of fall in line with that. And then also my why ties to my father kind of instilling in me to go and get skills that the world will need. So as everyone kind of attests to here, when you take a path along engineering, you develop some skills that can be applied anywhere and that are valuable across all levels. So just kind of hearing those things earlier on and catching one of those things, that's what helped me kind of get into engineering and kind of constantly keep me with my why as far as wanting to be an electrical engineer. So And again, it mainly tied to me just being a kid like you all in high school. I love the latest iPhone. I love the latest gaming system, the latest computer and things like that. And that always sparked an interest. So just kind of luckily ran into a segue in college where, again, I went into electrical computer engineering, and it just kind of tied full circle with me. But mainly it was kind of going and getting a skill that the world would need and that I could utilize in every way possible along my journey throughout life. So that's mainly my why there.
Yeah, thank you.
So I'd say when I have an uncle overseas that is a civil engineer, and last time I was overseas back in 2005, I think I was 15 years old at the time. We kind of went around, and he was pointing out buildings that he designed or built, and like that was awesome for me. And then I went out and helped him on a job site. We started mixing up some concrete, we were placing some foundations, and I was like, man, this is it. This is exactly what I want to do. And so when I went into engineering, like it was a very clear path for me. That's exactly what I wanted to get into. One of the really nice things about all of the engineering fields, regardless of whether civil, ECE, mechanical, whatever it is, there's a lot of different paths. And so the path that I've always focused on, not so much in my undergrad, you don't really focus on one particular path in your undergrad, but I wanted to get into materials. I wanted to get to play with concrete and asphalt and wood and steel and just like everything else. But when I graduated right at the tail end of the recession, and so there wasn't really a lot of hiring going on. I interned for an environmental engineering company, which is just it was at that time one of the branches of civil engineering. Now it's really a kind of a discipline in and of itself. But they hired me on, and I was just like, this is really not the problem solving that I wanted to do. I want to solve problems that I can go out and point to down the road later on in my career and say, hey, I've done a part of this. I was able to do something here with this. And so now I get to my kid's favorite library is the library that Dad built, even though I was only a project manager for an inspection firm. But that's to them, that's what they see. So I enjoy playing outside. I don't like sitting behind a desk, and that's one thing that I wanted to make sure. I can't do that forever. I can't stay behind a desk for too long. So I like to go out in the field and visit sites and visit my projects. And I like to play in the dirt, in the mud. So
That's awesome. Thank you.
Well, mine kind of has two parts to it. From the outside looking in right now, I can see that my dad was a big influence on me choosing an engineering path. He's a mechanic, so I grew up tinkering and learning how to fix things from a very young age. I didn't like how dirty he got every day, so I knew I didn't really want to do that. But I wasn't so sure my entire time. It took me until junior or senior year of high school to kind of figure out what exactly I wanted to go into. I think I actually originally enrolled at UMKC under the IT program because I knew I wanted to work with tech in some space or some capacity, but I didn't know exactly what. And then I got involved in a program at my high school that was STEM mentoring. So it was through KCPT and I think Black and Veatch, where we went out to underserved grade schools and we taught them fundamentals of engineering. So we built the spaghetti tower with marshmallows, or we looked at an irrigation system. And it was really just meeting with those professionals that worked with us, and then meeting with the kids, and then just seeing all different aspects that you could be involved in through many different disciplines is what really interests me in engineering. And I knew I wanted to work in tech, so that's how I ended up landing in electrical and computer within UMKC. It wasn't an at first thing. I just knew I was in the general range of it. And then once I got into it, the thing that really showed me that I had chosen the right path was high school always kind of drug along. Like the year just took forever, and I always felt like just in slow motion. But when I got to college, everything forwarded. It was over like in a blink of an eye. And to me, that told me I was genuinely interested in my coursework, actively engaged, and having fun with what I was doing, rather than having to learn a big range of things, rather than the specialized thing that I'm actually interested in.
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun. Absolutely. Thank you.
Well, so like I mentioned before, my dad is a mechanical engineer, and growing up, I knew that I liked science. I love science, and I just found everything about physics to biology, chemistry. I have a love-hate relationship with chemistry, but
Yeah.
I just found the whole space of science really interesting, and I liked the fact that it could explain a lot of principles and phenomena in life, and I like to know really. So I could have picked any side of a career that gives you more knowledge,
Mhm.
but science was the biggest one for me. And like I said, I was torn between medicine and engineering. At the time, I thought engineering was you built everything, right? You work with the tools and you make it work. Like you go back and you maintain it. That's what I thought it was
Mhm.
until right at in junior year of high school, I was told, well, engineers are really the ones that do the math side and the process of everything. And I don't even know why, but for a split second, I was like, why? That's not what I thought it was. I don't get to work with the tools. This is not good. This is not fun.
No,
But
that's an important realization. Yeah, because there's a difference between science on one side of engineering and technology on the other side of engineering. And it's not until you get it that that really makes sense. Yeah, so keep
yeah,
going. Yeah, that's
exactly.
good.
And
Mhm.
so I was like, okay, no, I have to restructure my path because I want to work with the tools. But then the medicine thing kicked in, and I was like, okay, I have to decide now: do I want to become a doctor
Mhm.
or an engineer or something else? And a couple of my friends were talking about medicine. Well, yeah, medicine one day. This is still in high school, by the way, and we do this thing where we just have really smart talks and we just go back and forth about what we know more than the other person.
Mhm.
And then they mentioned something in surgery, and I was like, it would be really cool to build something that helps these doctors, like the doctors of the time, help make their job easier. But I would rather just make that, but not actually do it on the patients.
Mhm.
I like to be responsible for machines than human beings. That was the deciding factor in my mind for medicine. But all this time, my dad was helping me to see the sides of engineering that he was already exposed to,
Mhm.
and at the core of it, at the end, by the time I landed on that bridge between medicine and engineering, I just realized that I wanted to be part, like a lot of you had said, I wanted to be part of making the world a better place.
Mhm.
And the way that I figured out was the best was that bridge between medicine and engineering,
Mhm.
leaning towards making the devices for the doctors, making the
Gotcha.
devices in that space of healthcare.
Yeah, no,
And that
that's really
was,
good.
yeah.
Yeah, and the other theme I saw amongst all of you is one of the ones that I like to talk about too. Super simple why to help people. Engineers help people. Again, when you're really good at the math and the physics and the science, and you have a cognitive ability to pull together a lot of things, guess what? You can help even more people than you would have, had you not gone down an engineering path. And the other thing you said that I wanted to trigger off of is you like to know, right? And that was a trigger for me because two heroes, Lord Kelvin, as a metrology engineer. Metrology is the science of measurement. His quote is paraphrased into "To measure is to know." And then the second hero, Maya Angelou, says, "Now that I know better, I do better." And so you put those two, historic icons together, and you can really see a pretty clear path. So that said, I think we're all. Oh yeah, go for it.
I just
Yeah.
want to chime in here. So one of
Mhm.
the things that was told to me in my engineering 101 class is, like doctors help people, but they help one individual at a time, whereas engineers were the ones that are responsible for your roadways, for your
Yeah.
buildings, for your water, for your communications. Like we help society as a whole on any given day. So it's not just helping one individual like a doctor would or a lawyer would or one of the other profession, but you're literally helping society as a whole.
Mhm. Yeah, how many bridges did we drive over on the way here? Yeah, for sure. And that's one tiny example. So I feel like we're pretty warmed up now. You guys doing okay out there? All right. Do we have the first question?
Don't be
Yeah.
shy.
Yep.
There's got to be a question out there.
I'm going to insert one from one of the folks that I met out there. He was torn between choosing a sport in college and still being able to focus on engineering, right? Because engineering is really demanding. And so, like, hypothetically speaking, is soccer. And so when you put those two things together, were you still able to find success? And can you give us a window into the student athlete who's also an engineer?
I'm not gonna lie, it takes a lot of dedication to do it. But I think what made me successful in my academic career was because I wanted to excel in my athletic career.
Mhm.
The university itself, if you were to come here and play, they have so many tools to help you succeed. You have study hall hour requirements. You have like GPA requirements that are just outside of the normal academic requirements. But it just one skill you really learn when you're doing it is time management and understanding your capacity for workload, and when it really taught me when I need to take a step back and say I can or can't do this and not to overextend myself, which is like one of the biggest things you learn as a new grad that I'm learning in the workspace, because sometimes you want to say yes to everything because you want to get everything done and you want to appear like you have it all together, that you're head of the game. But sometimes it was a matter of prioritizing things that were important and things that I was just doing for fun. So it's completely doable. It's just you have to have the expectation of I have this level of dedication to this and also this. And so what's realistic? Can I maintain a healthy work-life balance? Because that's what we considered it, because soccer was our work while we were here. But no, it's totally doable. And it's really rewarding when you, as an athlete, when you succeed athletically, like you feel really accomplished. And then if you can also do it on the academic side, it's just as rewarding, I think. So.
Absolutely.
So I know my personal situation at the time when I was doing my undergrad at UMKC is different than many of the audience of, as far as I wasn't a high school student when I was making my decision to come here. But I was working adult. I had 2 children. So I worked full time. I attended UMKC full time. I coached 2 sports during that time as well. So that's absolutely true. The work-life balance. I'm sure my children suffered quite a bit while I didn't sleep either. But it was a lot of time management. I think I was fortunate enough to have a good employer at the time that was very supportive of my work schedule, of how I had to work around it to be able to attend classes. But I would absolutely agree. The staff was very helpful about trying to help you succeed. They want you to succeed. They want to be there for you. Some of them were very available, made themselves available whenever if you needed help. But I will say, maybe my motivations were different at that time because, of course I want to succeed because I have children and I want to get a better job. So by the end of that year, by the time my senior year, I was president of the honor society for the mechanical engineering fraternity here. I was also part of another honor society, and the staff voted me most excellent senior.
Excellent.
So that really was a very big motivator, and I think it showed at the end of my schooling here.
Nice. Okay. Any questions? Don't be shy. Okay, oh yeah, we got one in the
Here we go,
back.
here we go.
Yes.
And you have your hand up too? Yeah. Okay, I'll come back.
What was your hardest class, and what part of it did you fully retain and help you through your engineering path?
Anyone got an easy one? Mine's easy right out of the gate. Oh, okay. So my heart. So I'll take you back to where you are, right? Where I'm assuming you are, right? High school, senior. I loved electricity, but I also loved mechanical things, right? Like motors and stuff. So I didn't know if I was going to be an electrical engineer or a mechanical engineer, and so I was interning. So fast forward, I did my calculus 1 and my physics 1, which, by the way you prep for that is college algebra. So you get 100% understanding of college algebra, and you take that into Calculus 1 and Physics 1. And then once you do Calculus 1 and Physics 1, that's the moment that I say you have proven intellectual capability. You've found your study habits, you found your study team. Now all you got to do is finish that for the next few years, right? But back to your question. So I had proven that intellectual capability. I was still trying to figure out if I was going to be electrical or mechanical, and I took thermodynamics. And I'm not going to lie, at the time, that was my least favorite course. It was so challenging. I was like, I didn't even, energy turns out, is different than I thought it was going to be. Heat isn't even really a thing. It's the flow of energy. And so I lost a lot of time in my life on that. But I want to fast forward to when I was working on my doctorate, and I took a biocompatibility course. And especially as a really religious person, there were things that I found very mysterious about the human body, and there's things that we could not understand. And I'm in the middle of a biocompatibility course, and I find out that biocompatibility is really a thermodynamics problem, and it's about surface energies. And depending upon what the surface energies are, you can get materials to live inside your body. And it was like a 180 moment. It was like, now all of a sudden, I love thermodynamics. And so that was mine. Back then it was like I literally switched from mechanical engineering to electrical engineering because of that course. And then later I found myself loving it. Yeah. Any similar stories or?
So I'd say probably the hardest classes for me were the ones that didn't really relate to anything that I was going to be, that I didn't think would be relatable to anything that I was doing. So chemistry, I have a very, very love-hate relationship with chemistry as well. And that was a class, that was one of the first classes that I took at UMKC. And you walk into this auditorium with 400 other bright and shiny faces that are all like nervous and, going to different fields. And that was, yeah, exactly. And those are the ones that really,
All the pre-med students.
Oh, the pre-med students.
the ones that
got
actually
it.
need chemistry, whereas we not so much. So that was tough to grasp, but it wasn't a deal breaker for me. To answer the second portion of your question, what class do I use the most right now? So I had to take a materials class and a strength materials class, 2 different classes, and I use materials every day. I mean, that literally is my field. So that's something that I constantly use all the time. And yeah, I'd say that's it.
Thanks.
I can go
Yeah,
real
please.
quick. So just like you said, there are specific classes you take as prerequisites that would help you as you go on, especially the more complex. I don't want to say harder the classes are, but as the more complex the classes get, the more you would need to have solidified foundational concepts like pre-calculus or college algebra and calculus, really. But by the time you get those down pat, you move on to those complex classes, right? I took a class, differential equations, which was, I think about it now and I'm just laughing because the very first quiz we ever had in the class, first of all, I was the last person to leave the room. And I walk up to my professor and I turned in my submission. I told him, yeah, that I don't know. I don't think I did well in that one. And I'm so grateful for him that he did this though. He took the paper and he looked at the work I did, and he said, "Do you know why you got this wrong?" And I was like, "Please, sir, tell me, because I don't know."
Yeah.
And he went through. By the way, he has not graded it. He just looked at my paper and told me that I got stuff wrong.
Right out of the
Right?
gate. Yeah, that really
And-
built you up, doesn't it?
Really. And he went over it and he was like, this, and this is what you did. Maybe you did not think about this one thing. And as he was talking, I'm like, wow, oh, okay, I'm going to pass your class, sir. And after that, I put in so much more effort into studying that by the time any exam came up, I just found it was so much easier because now I put in you're always told to put 100%, which is like whatever everyone else is doing, right? But I had to put in that extra 20%, which I know sounds like a cliche, but I looked into much more the background as to of what the class is, so I understood it for fun, so that it was easier for me to actually do the class. So whenever exams came, the exam results came out, and everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, this, that." Whoever got 100%, I want to meet that person because why did you set the curve? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm sorry. know.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
but
and you said something really important, right? You said study, and yeah, that reminds me. Hardest test I've ever taken in my life was the PhD qualifying exam. Second hardest was the PE exam, and those were after I've already been out of school for a long time. But any test, if you study, you'll pass, right? Like that's just a simple truth, right? Any test, if you study, you'll pass. You'll notice I didn't say how much you have to study or who with you have to study, because I am curious. Did you guys have study groups when you were going through? I'd love a window into that. Like, yeah, could you elaborate on that? Like, what was your study group like? When did you meet them?
When did I meet my original study group?
Uh-huh.
It was in one of the earlier courses, and kind of just formed a study group based on our common struggles in the course.
Mhm.
Just kind of kids looking around at each other like, man, this class is tough. We don't know what to do, and everyone just huddled up and got together. That was maybe my first year, and that group that I came together with, we finished out strong together. So just that power within a study group is helpful because you can bounce off of each other. So your weaknesses might be someone else's strengths.
Mhm.
And your way of teaching might not be the best, but someone can help cater it. Or again, just bring it full circle, everyone helping each other. So me getting amongst that study group is really what got me to the finish line and
Mhm.
really being close knit, having those different perspectives. And again, just the study group also being team oriented with a common goal in place. That's what really helped me along my way, along with professors, TAs, just those resources that help with those earlier struggles of trying to figure it out and really making it through the courses. So yeah,
Mhm.
study groups and resources of those sort were really golden for me and really would help the journey and help me get to that finish line.
Thank you.
I think one of the biggest things that I learned throughout my 4 years is you find the people you relate to most within your program.
Hmm.
Because you start out in the program and there's however many hundred, and then you end with like 40 when you graduate.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
People go to different majors, they change schools, whatever it may be. But your biggest tool you can have is allies within the classroom, because I can't count the number of times we were in the computer lab. I was in a class where we had to set up a Raspberry Pi and we could not figure it out to save our life.
Yeah.
And everyone in that computer lab was doing the exact same thing. And so having people that understand exactly what you're going through, and also you find the specific people within your major that you relate to. Like I found a group because I did have to miss class quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I had to ask them for notes or what was said in this lecture, and having those people that you look out for, you can just check in with and say, hey, how do you understand this? Because the way the professor said it, I have no idea, is really important. So like the social aspect of getting to know the people you work with really lends itself into the study groups, and knowing, just understanding people is a great tool to have within this program.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, please.
My answer is going to be just a little different.
Yeah, you're good.
I can't say, because of my work schedule, my school schedule, I had a ton of opportunity. I did have some study groups, and similar, we'd all be in the computer lab struggling through something, and that helps. But I will say that as an engineer, and depending on where you go to work, but working in a group, a multidisciplined group, is something that you find happens a lot.
Mhm.
And so learning how to work in a group, that's where it starts, is, your study groups, the friends that you make here, the camaraderie, that's how you make, it's team building. And that absolutely helps you, not just in schoolwork, but it'll help you in your career as well. So that's definitely something you want to learn to get comfortable with.
Yeah, thank you. Any questions?
You still have a question?
Yeah.
So I'm getting the impression that math is important.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what other courses would you recommend they take while they're in high school still?
Yeah, that's a really good one. Anyone? Go for it. Yeah, you got it.
Physics, I would suggest taking physics because that was one of the tougher courses when we first started.
Yeah.
Yeah, and really, if you need a reason why physics, because, well, now in college, they split it into physics 1 and physics 2, right? But physics 1 is the more mechanical aspect of physics, and physics 2 is the more electrical side where you have all these laws and everything.
Mhm.
But how is it done in high school here? Is it like you do everything abroad? Okay.
Yeah, it
So
depends. Yeah.
it helps you to be able to pick what side you actually are more attuned to, right? If you realize that, wow, the mechanical part of this physics class I like, you might think towards that side, right? Or anything that has to do with more tangible interactions, which would be civil and mechanical, in my opinion, would be the mechanical side of the physics class. And if you lean towards more like the electrical concepts, then that space would be a good, I guess, foundation for making your decision, right? But yeah, apart from math and physics, I can't think of any more.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, ready?
As a mechanical, every class you take, I'm going to see some of your math classes, the calculus classes, everything touches physics.
Mhm.
Everything. So
Yeah, and-
you have to take physics in high school. You have to do it.
I'd say a lot of our classes are just focusing on different subjects in physics. So like statics it's still physics, but you don't want things to move. Dynamics, you want them to move, and how are they going to move? And all of these are just concepts in physics. So absolutely, physics all the way.
Yeah, definitely. And so, to point at another historical figure, right? George Box, he's the one who invented DOEs. My favorite quote of his is, "All models are wrong, some models are useful." And so you can get in there and you can learn math all you want, but until you start to apply it to the physical universe, physics, you could, again, I'm not hating on mathematicians. I love mathematicians. I work with some, so I should be careful. But in engineering, that's when you apply the math to the real world. And then, whether you're doing that to figure out if heat is going to flow appropriately, or if circuits are going to work, or if you can scale up a chemical reaction safely. That's so between those two. You got another one?
I think we have another, do you have your hand up?
So you have computer engineering and you have electrical engineering. But what is computer and electrical, and how does it differ, so to speak?
You got this.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to start?
Yeah.
I can chime in a bit, just kind of going on the fly here. So on the electrical side, like let's say, at least thinking back to my college days when I kind of chose my senior design, the electrical side, you're more so gauging towards power. On the computer engineering side, you might deal with robotics if that's more of your liking. So they tie in well together, but the computer side is like your coding and basically the inner workings behind the computer and systems and things like that. But the electrical side is more circuitry, more power systems, things along those lines. But there are a lot of parallels and common grounds between the two where you can see that they tie in together. I guess hence as to why they have the ECE degree. But yeah, I guess a slight difference is one is more so focused on the power sector, and the other is like robotics and system designs and computer systems, things of those nature. Yeah, controls as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think this program here makes you more adept to the software side, especially if you decide to go into power engineering, where you're working in generation and distribution. And so I think with the exposure you get in an ECE degree, you understand kind of coding processes that might make your job easier within certain softwares. On a like for example, in my job, I do some Python coding for a software that has our entire circuit model for a neighborhood in Atlanta. And so understanding how we can create something to export the data that we want from our model is kind of how those two meld together for me. Because you do kind of have segmented classes sometimes when you are getting the degree, but it's understanding how you can leverage the knowledge within the specific computer specific or the electrical specific classes to work best for you in real life. So it's definitely separate, but then understanding how you use it with your knowledge is just putting it together.
That's awesome. I especially noticed that you said Python too, because that probably takes you back to when you were learning your Raspberry Pi. Um, was that the first time you learned Python code? Was when you were working on that, or was it before?
I had no coding experience previous to coming to college, so it
Okay.
was definitely, I had a semester where they crash coursed us in 3 different languages.
Oh, there you go. So that might tie back to this question
So-
too, right? Is maybe some coding, because
Yeah.
high school is different now. We can actually have those. And I definitely want to see afterwards too, because to me, electrical engineering is super broad. Computer engineering is more focused, and there's different maths and stuff. But yeah, Eric, you got one?
We've got a question from an online viewer
Yay,
who
online.
asked, and I'm standing by Marjorie because she might want to chime in on this question as well. Did UMKC provide any type of support in employment and job finding for you?
The answer is a resounding yes. Anybody want to elaborate?
They had job fairs quite a bit, and they would,
Yeah.
they helped in that way. Though I probably am not the best person. I had a job at the time, so I wasn't really looking.
I can say real quick, sorry, I had to.
You good?
But yeah, the job fairs and really the connections through your professors as well, because a lot of professors in the SSE space, School of Science and Engineering, they also do research and have also worked with professionals or have even been professionals for years. So whenever I was looking into the biomedical space, the professor I took biomedical device design with, I just asked her, Dr. Blomker, do you have any companies I could reach out to? She's like, yeah, a couple actually. And that was it. I reached out to a couple of the companies she recommended, and she also let me know that there were people in my program who knew very well that I wanted to do biomedical device design, but did not tell me. But anyways, so she reached out to them for me, and that's actually how I got my internship. A friend of mine who was in my program, who also knew my professor at the time, and she was just like, "Hey, Tolu is interested in this space,"
Yeah.
and he was like, "Yeah, I can reach out to someone for you."
Using your network.
Exactly,
That's really good.
network is really.
Did you have something there too?
So I would definitely say professors all the way. I mean, that's how I got my first job out of my master's, was through a professor. Exactly like you said, they have all the connections. The other kind of side of that is also being involved with student organizations, because you kind of broaden your network a little bit, and everybody works for somebody at some point in time. And so the companies are very big and very, very diverse. And so somebody that may be in a business major that is working for Black and Veatch can get you hooked up with the right individual to go work at Black and Veatch, you know. I had a buddy of mine that was an architect that was able to get another friend of mine into the civil engineering department or the structural engineering department after a few years of after graduating. So like building your network all the way.
Absolutely, yeah. And I do want to go back to the career fairs, professors, right? Because the career fair is a really important one too, because, you know, at Honeywell, that's how we come and hire UMKC grads, is we come to your career fair, you bring your resume, you look a lot like this, and you say, hey, I need a job, and we're like, oh, thank you, we need a lot of engineers right now, which is, again, I was telling them in the beginning, I'm like, we need more of this. We need a lot of engineers in our workforce.
Yeah, I like to chime in as well. Mainly, like some of these guys alluded to, is the connections that you meet through your professor. Some of them have previously worked for some of these big companies around here, so they still have a lot of connections that can kind of segue you into building relationships that can aid you throughout your college journey as far as finding an internship and also a full-time job opportunity. So that's one really big thing that played well for myself and others, as we heard. Also, the different student resources and groups and things like that. So I was really involved with NSBE, which is the National Society of Black Engineers. And being involved in that group, that's where I met some of my main connections and really learned that it's not all about what you know, it can more so be about who you know. So UMKC definitely has those resources available in that hand that will kind of segue you into meeting the right people, building the right relationships, and ultimately aiding your career. And then also to kind of speak to recruitment and everything, one of the first things I did once I joined Burns & McDonnell was to get on board with recruiting and to come back and be a part of the career fairs. Mainly just being on the other side
Oh, yeah.
And with it being fresh, being able to understand the students along their pursuit to gain an internship or full-time job opportunity. So again, the recruitment, the career fairs, they all tie in really well. You can see how, again, it's a segue from the college environment into the corporate, which plays really well. So again, UMKC has those resources and that setup available, and it's just, just here for the taking and kind of there for you as a resource and something you can run to. So it's really good.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good question.
Different. I must have had different professors because I didn't have that here. I went to one. Dr. McClernand used to be a dean or an assistant dean here when I was here, and so I had another inspiration thing when I was in my junior senior year, and I'm like, so he used to work at Black and Veatch as a mechanical engineer in the power division. And I go, I think I really want to do that. How do you get into that? Oh, don't focus on that. You let it take it where it takes you. So I guess that's interesting.
Yeah, interesting.
I'm hearing something very different from everybody else up here.
Well, yeah,
But
everyone.
I think that's kind of true. You kind of have to leave yourself a little bit adaptable too.
Mhm. Yeah, everyone has their own sort of unique experiences. And so do we have, speaking of unique experiences, that's what's going to help you answer, or pardon me, ask the next super awesome question. Anyone out there? Yeah, front row. Thank you.
Hang on. Hi. Oh,
Hello.
that's really embarrassing.
Okay.
So like, what is like one experience in college that like you would like 10 out of 10 totally recommend to like undergraduates, I guess?
I can go quick.
Yeah.
I also think I'm an ambassador for organization involvement, to be very honest. But like Rahim had mentioned, uh, being a part of organizations and growing your network in a more seamless fashion is the most important thing, I would say, uh, in terms of gaining experiences, getting a network easily. It's actually very, very easy to do that. I'm also a part of National Society of Black Engineers, and I have been since 2018, right? I had a couple of seniors that were in the organization, and I just looked up to them, and I just thought, wow. And there were also a couple of people that were also from Nigeria, like myself, that were international students, and they were having they had key positions in the organization, and I just thought, wow, can I do that too? So I got plugged in. And then I looked at other organizations that I had interest in. I had interest in robotics. I had interest in business, believe it or not. But I wanted, as engineers, I also believe that we have that innovation mindset, right? Which crosses into entrepreneurship. And I just found organizations that align with my interests and joined them just because of that initial, okay, they did it, I guess I can do it, and then I blew it out of proportion. I joined. By the time I graduated last semester, I was in about 7 organizations, and I was on the executive board of all 7. It is actually very hilarious when I think about it.
Mhm.
But as a result of all of that, I have a network that I don't even know how to use it at this point because I've used some of it, but like there's so much more I could leverage. Being in the National Society of Black Engineers, I have traveled so many places for their conventions. I have made connections for in my dream company, which is another medical device manufacturing company in Minnesota, and I'm now on the national level for National Society of Black Engineers. We're planning the next convention, and I'm one of the people that will be planning that. And every single step of the way, I just realized that I did not even have to try to grow my network. I was just in events and in meetings, and there were people that came to those meetings. There were some professional talks that we held. That as a result of having them come over, I met with them. Hey, let's get connected. Get their LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a very important platform, by the way. LinkedIn. I think that's how it's pronounced, but that is like the professional social media, to be honest. And
Gotcha.
that is how you get plugged in.
So I heard student organizations, is definitely something.
I'll put even more emphasis on that with student organizations. I think that promotes some of the best experience throughout college because you just get amongst a group that you can identify well with. And at the end of the day, you all share that common struggle and have that common goal. So you get with a group with the same mission in mind and you can kind of share that full-on journey. But kind of what he alluded to is like in NASB or in any organization, something that might kind of get overlooked is the opportunities for mentorship when you join those groups and having mentorship along your journey, someone who has already gone through it, someone who can guide you through it, that's gold. And so that just promotes the best college experience possible. Again, getting with these resource groups, getting yourself immersed within them. And within that, you'll find people you can identify with, and it'll segue into really good professional relationships, mentorship, and things that will just follow you throughout your career and full-on journey. So that's one of the things is just get involved on campus, get with those resource groups, promote the best social experience possible while it aligns with you finishing your mission and ultimately getting your degree and starting your career. So that's one of the best things. And again, LinkedIn, all of that, it all ties in because it shows you the power of networking, the power of relationships, and the importance of all of those things. So, I mean, that's one of the golden things throughout college. So be sure to do that once your time comes.
Thank you.
A little less professional advice over here, but like he said, getting involved on campus, but getting involved outside of your bubble. Sometimes
Oh, that's a good one.
we tend to get caught on a track and get used to the people that we're around. But especially if you're undergrad, my favorite experience was living on campus my freshman year, and that was really fun. Like you can't beat walking to the caf like on a Saturday and just messing around with your friends.
Yeah.
And it's really fun just to have those experiences because you are here. And if you do engineering, it can be serious at times, but also having outside experiences on campus that aren't specifically linked to academic stuff. It's
Yep.
good to have fun, I think.
Yeah, it
sometimes.
kind of reminds me of, when we're studying our calculus and our physics classes, the odd problems, the answers are in the back of the book. So not the even problems, but the odd problems. So if you're working on an even problem and you're stuck, you can go to the back of the book and you can find the answer and start to work your way backwards, right? Very similarly, that's why I like that question, is because if you're trying to get a job and you show up to the career fair with your resume and you've got a 2.0 GPA and nothing else, it's really hard for me to hire you, really hard. But if you show up and you've got higher than a 3.6, you've been in a professional organization, you've maybe played a student sport, you can clearly articulate what your senior project was, and I can see that you've not only got a command over the engineering discipline, but some soft skills, and you can communicate to me why I would be better as an organization if I were to hire you, then that's a clear win. And so now you can go to where you are now and be like, okay, sweet. Now all I got to do is work backwards and join some organizations, make some friends, get some good study groups going on, and finish this degree. Because I like to say it's about flipping the script sometimes too. Because when I started engineering, it was 2000 and 2000, the year 2000, and the script that we used at the time was look to your left, look to your right. Only one of you is going to make it, because that was the success rate for engineering discipline. And now, serving on different boards of different schools, the script that we flipped is look to your left, look to your right, start studying now, and you'll all make it, right? It's like, bond together, and because we do need those engineers. So looking at the time, we have 2 minutes to wrap up. Yeah,
I
please,
was going
Eric.
to say, let's get to the top of the hour. I know we want to stay on schedule with the UMKC tours as well.
Yeah. So I just want to thank you all very much for joining us today. This was for you, and thank you so much to my panel. Can we give them a round of applause here?
And thank you, Eric.
Oh, my pleasure.
Wonderful
My pleasure.
job moderating. Marjorie and I were talking before the program started. I think we always say, well, we have a great panel.
Yeah.
But I think this is the best panel we've
Nice.
had. We both agreed.
Yeah.
At this time, for those of you who are here, we hope that you will come on our tour of the UMKC School of Science and Engineering, and we're focusing on, of course, engineering today. And so what we'd like to do right now is you have star stickers, because everyone's a star.
Yay.
Yeah, exactly. And I love what you said too, Eric. Like
Well, thank you.
that whole idea of that people used to say, look to your left, look to your right, one of you is not going to be here. That is not the mentality of universities today. We want students to succeed. It doesn't benefit us when students don't succeed. It doesn't benefit students when they don't succeed. So we are very committed to students being successful and providing that. And it is a two-way street. Students have to work hard. These folks all had their ups and downs throughout, but you know, everybody has to work hard, but then we will do whatever we can to provide you with resources. And so we want to show you all the great things we have over there. So if you have let's start with the gold stars on your name tag. Who's our gold star back? So if you want to get your things and head out towards the back with the gold star, and they will take you on a tour of, get the first group going, headed over there. They will walk you back over here since your cars are here afterwards. But you'll be going with Sam and Zach. Is that right? I haven't met all of our new, so yep.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw one more thing out there. Again, don't underestimate the power of networking. So we mentioned an important thing, a really great platform in LinkedIn. So I just want to put myself out there in regards to this. Feel free to reach out to me on that platform in any regards with any questions, for any help along the journey at any time. So again, don't underestimate the power of networking. Take advantage of that. Use these platforms like LinkedIn earlier on. It's an open platform. This is for the parents and students. Feel free to reach out. And again, me personally, I'm looking to aid anyone along their journey, especially in the engineering. So just wanted to put that out there.
Thanks. Thank you, Raheem. All right, Zach and Sam, do you have your gold group? You guys can head on out. All right, thank you. All right, and then we will take our blue star folks next after they head out. We've got, who's taken, if you have a blue star on your name tags, go ahead and stand up and you'll go be out with, I don't know who's taking the blues. Who's taking the blues? Z and Miriam? Okay. All right, and then I think our red stars are left. So once the blues get walking over there, it'll be a nice crisp morning. We'll get the red star folks out with our next group.